Hey guys, it's Ray and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my podcast. It's late and I should sleep, but again, I'm still here. So today a lot of things changed. A release was finally sent out from who exactly? Let me actually check that. From my principal. Yes, from my principal regarding grades for seniors at least. I also have pulled up a little slides presentation that my stats teacher gave me, which talks about the AP classes and the College Board and the fact that the College Board is doing some stupid stuff, okay? So I'll open with that. I'll probably end up going somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where at this point. I don't really have a whole lot on my mind other than the fact that I basically don't have to do work anymore, and that's what I'm going to talk about. So today, my principal sent out this little letter. It's called the COVID-19 Senior Letter. Love that. He starts off by saying, "Great job at not losing your head." Yeah, that's basically what he says. And then he goes into the new credit and grading and graduation stuff. So he said, at the conclusion of the 2019-2020 school year, seniors will be considered graduates after earning the State Board of Education, SBE, minimum graduation requirement of 22 credits, which include 4 English credits, 4 math credits, 4 social studies credits, 3 science credits, 1 physical education/health credit, and 6 electives. While these may be the minimum requirements for high school graduation, college and universities may still require additional credits in areas such as world languages, science, or art. For spring courses, seniors will receive a pass, PC-19, or withdraw, WC-19, based on where they were as of March 13th. Specific guidance for spring 2020 from the State Board of Education for WHS WIA is below. Also, just to clarify that, there are 2 schools in my building, basically. There's WHS, which is the regular high school, and then WIA, which is like a college prep school, kind of, because like you can graduate with your associate's degree if you go through WIA. I did not do that because none of the associate's degrees that I could graduate with would do anything for me. They weren't towards any of the majors I was thinking about, so I didn't do that. But it was an option. Great, yay, love that. But basically, I don't have to, my teachers can't give me zeros anymore. They can try, they can harp me on stuff, but they can't give me zeros anymore because it's not going to do anything. If they do give me a 0, it's not going to mean anything because I've already passed all of my classes. Also, my GPA is based on last semester's grades. Like, my GPA is not, like, this semester's grades are not counted into my GPA, which is great because that means my GPA is actually higher. So I had an A in AP Statistics, which is an AP course, which is a 5-point class. I had an A in AP Statistics last semester, and this semester I have like a really high B, which means I wouldn't get that 5 points. I would get 4 points, which is great for my GPA, even though I don't think GPA will really matter much for me anymore since I'm already in college, or since I've already committed to a college. But I'm just saying that looks pretty good because my GPA is pretty high, even when there's a B, and now that B is going to turn into an A. And so my GPA is going to be pretty high. I'm really excited about that. But otherwise, I have nothing to worry about. Like I said in yesterday's podcast, I'm probably still going to work on that English assignment just because I want to, but I'm not going to stress about anything else. I still have some auditions and stuff to work towards, which that's even kind of up in the air. I'm still going to do a choir audition because I want to try and join the a cappella choir at my university, but also I have the opportunity to audition for music, but that audition, I won't benefit from it in any way. The audition in question is only for scholarships, and as I stated either yesterday or the day before, can't quite remember, I actually can't take those scholarships because they only go towards tuition. They don't go towards room and board, which is what I need to get paid for. So yeah, that's my situation with that. And this basically means I really have nothing to work towards. I don't have any reason to get up in the morning other than this podcast, because I like making these and I want to continue making these. I don't really have anything to do. So I guess I'm going to still play my video games, my daily video games, and I'm going to try and work on some paintings. So I have a painting that I've been working on for a friend as a graduation present. I'm not going to tell you any more about that because he watches these podcasts and he probably already knows who he is. But I'm working on that. I'm probably going to work on some paintings for my dorm, and I might open commissions as well. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do that, but I might. We'll see. I also need to get more canvases because I'm running low. But yeah, like, I think this is just going to be a time for me to relax and not worry about everything else. Now, I am still worried because I most likely do have some sort of undiagnosed mental health disorder, or maybe even multiple, but I can't actually get that checked out right now because of what's going on in the world right now. Basically, I was going to try and get some sort of scheduled appointment with a counselor that my doctor has recommended, but her office has completely closed down because of this virus, because of this pandemic. She runs her office, she runs her own hours, she schedules her own appointments. Basically, she decides how it's going to work. So I can't schedule an appointment with her. It's just not working. So I'm a little worried about that. I'm pretty positive that there's something going on in my mind, something wrong, especially with thoughts that I've been struggling with and been having a really hard time to push to the back of my head, so they're not in my head. But it's kind of hard when you know you need help but you can't get it. So trying to get off that topic, I think I'll talk about how I've been spending my time, I guess. So as I've said, I have been grinding XP in an MMO called Star Stable Online. Now, I know exactly, if you know anything about this game, you probably know that it's geared towards younger people probably, but I have played the game for so long, I'm only playing for the actual storyline aspect of it, for the main storyline, because the main storyline is so good in this game, and I can't stop playing it. Basically, I don't really participate in the social aspect of it. I don't really compete with other people. I basically train my horses, unlock more quests, and get through the storyline. Basically, that's pretty much all I ever do in the game. But it does mean I'm spending at least 2 hours in the game every single day training my horses. And I also mathed it out, trying to figure out. I have so many sticky notes on my desk. I'm trying to find the exact sticky note. There we go. I mathed it out to try and figure out how long it's going to take me to train up all my horses, and it's going to take me about 2 months. Which means I have something to do for all of my time in quarantine. So that makes me happy. I have something to do at least. But yeah, that's what I've been spending my time doing. I've also been spending my time really delving more into genetics. So I am a model horse collector. I've been collecting model horses since I was 6, so a long time. And again, people are going to call me a child and a horse girl for that, but I really don't care. Horses have been such a huge part of my life. I've ridden horses. I collect model horses. I play horse games, and I know so much about horses at this point that I just can't give it up. So I am a part of this club within the model horse community called the International Pedigree Assignment and Bloodline Research Association. And that is a bunch of words and a bunch of syllables. But basically that means I try and assign pedigrees that trace back to live horses for all of my models. And I kind of research the color possibilities and the genetics of all these horses to try and find the perfect match for my horses. And this is just really fascinating to me, especially the color genetics behind it, because there's so much unknown about color genetics with horses that like I've had to do so much research about color genetics. I have like 4 files on my desktop that I constantly am referencing to get the right genotypes, but at the same time, like, nobody really knows where sooty comes from. Nobody really knows why seal brown is a thing and why some bay horses have a brown mane instead of a black mane. Like, there's so many things about horse colors that is unknown. And for the longest time, that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to research that. I wanted to get a degree in genetics or something like that, or biochemistry, something along those lines, and just research color genetics in horses, which now thinking about it, that's not necessary. Nobody really breeds for color, and if they breed for color, it's like they're breeding for a bay horse or a chestnut horse. They're not trying to get a blue roan Tovero quarter horse. Like, that's not what they're trying to do. So I kind of realized that there's really no point in going that route. I wouldn't make money that way. So I've kind of left that as a hobby. But yeah, like, genetics, they fascinate me so much. And just thinking about how everything works together. And like, I've read so much about the Human Genome Project, and I want to solve the genetic problems that face today's society. And I think that has a lot to do with my own experience with screwed up genetics. I don't think I've ever talked about this on this channel, but I always talk about this with other people. I have several genetic disorders that affect mostly my back and my joints. So I have scoliosis, which my mom gave to me. Thanks, Mom. And then I have loose ligaments, which is something I have recently been diagnosed with, but I have apparently had it since birth. And apparently my dad's had it since birth too, but he never knew, because it's one of those things that like you can't really see it unless you have a physical therapist like stretching you out, if that makes any sense. Like, that's the only way we knew I had loose ligaments, was a physical therapist was stretching out my joints, and she noticed that like all of my joints move in very odd ways. Some of them are very tight and some of them are very loose, and that's because I have loose ligaments. And then I also have this kneecap issue. I don't know if it's a deformity, a malformation. I don't really know what it is, but I do know that the Kansas City Chiefs, yes, quarterback Patrick Mahomes, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that's right, has the same condition. And he didn't know he had it until he fully dislocated his kneecap. And I didn't know about it until I fully dislocated my kneecap. Take that. But I fully dislocated my kneecap a year before Patrick Mahomes fully dislocated his. So I beat him in that. Let's go. So yeah, that's my story with joints. And so actually, I'll go into that story right now. So I was in my junior year of high school, or going into my junior year of high school, and I was at the second week of band camp, of marching band camp. It's the first day, and we were goofing around on the field. We had these poses that we had to do at the beginning of our show the year before, and we were all goofing around and like over exaggerating them and like making fun of these poses that we had to do. And one of them involved a lunge. So I lunged forward on my left leg, and my leg kept going, but my knee did not, I guess. And I felt like something just pop. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear like a crack or anything. I just felt something pop, and I fell to the ground. And I was like, ha ha ha, I fell. Because like, I've had my knees give out before, so that was kind of normal to me, like falling to the ground because you put too much pressure on my knee. So I was like, ha ha, I fell. And I wasn't in any pain yet. So I tried to get up, and I realized every time I tried to put pressure on my leg, I couldn't get my knee to like lock into place to let me stand up. And that's when the pain started to set in, and I just started crying because I was freaking out. I was like, what happened? What just happened to my leg? Like, I can't feel the lower part of my leg, and I can't control it. Like, I don't know what's going on. And another girl, she ran up to me, and she immediately knew what happened because I think the same thing happened to her. And she was like, you just dislocated your knee. And our drum major, like, she ran up to me and got me on the sidelines, and someone came up to me and like helped me stretch out my leg and stuff. But like, it was so weird. Like, I was in so much shock that I didn't realize how much pain I was in. But the next day, I couldn't walk. I still went to camp, but I couldn't walk. I had to like fully strap myself in like 3 knee braces stacked on top of each other, and I was limping around constantly and had to get help from people sometimes. It was so hard and so painful. And after a week of it not getting better, I eventually went to the doctor and had an MRI done. By the way, people always say MRIs are like horrible to go through. I didn't think it was that bad. Like, I have small ears, and they give you like the largest earplugs. So the earplugs didn't fit in my ears. So I basically heard most of the like high level of sound that is emitted by the MRI. It's really not that bad. Like, I understand if you have trouble with like like sound things and like have sensory issues with sound things and loud sounds and stuff. I understand you might have an issue with it, but like, it's really not that bad, guys. Don't be afraid of an MRI because of what somebody told you. But I had an MRI done, and the doctor was almost positive I had torn my meniscus. Like, that's what he thought, because the location of my pain and how centralized it was, he was like, you probably just tore your meniscus. We can get you on medication and treatment for that. It's fine. Because a meniscus tear is very minor for someone who isn't a like full-fledged athlete. And I got the results back. I went back to my doctor, and he was like, so you didn't tear your meniscus? And my mom was like, yes. You dislocated your kneecap. And I was like, what? And it fully relocated on its own. I think it actually did it in my sleep, because I remember the first day my knee was still like really wobbly. But the second day my knee wasn't wobbly. It was just really pain. It was in a lot of pain. So I think it relocated partially and then fully relocated in my sleep. I think that's what happened. But he was like, yeah, you just dislocated your kneecap. And I was like, what the heck? I've been in so much pain. And he's like, yeah, first of all, kneecap dislocations, especially full kneecap dislocations, are incredibly painful. He's actually surprised I wasn't in more pain, but I think I was just in shock. And second of all, I had like weird, very centralized pain because I have a ton of bruising around my kneecap now, like permanent bruising on the bones surrounding my kneecap. I don't know a whole lot about anatomy, so I can't actually tell you the exact bones and really the location. It's just around my kneecap, and I think even a little bit on my kneecap there's a bunch of bruising. And I have a disc somewhere that has my MRI images on it, and like you can see on the MRI, like there's these white spots surrounding my kneecap, and that's where the bruising is. And that's really just what was causing me all that pain. I haven't really had too many issues with my knee since then. Every now and then I have like a lot of like really sharp pains in my knee, and I basically just have to like put a special knee brace on. It's called what is it? It's a stabilizer. That like patella stabilizer. Goodness, I couldn't think of what it was called, but I have to use patella stabilizer type knee braces, which basically have like little pillows that surround your kneecap, or like even hold your kneecap on one side and push it to keep it in place and keep it from slipping out of place. And I actually have to use that on both legs, because now that we know I have this condition with my knee, which I didn't even explain, which I'll explain in a second. We know that, first of all, it's almost definitely going to happen to the same knee again, and it's probably going to happen to my other knee as well. So, okay, here's the actual condition. I have no clue how exactly to explain it, but basically, like, there's a little cup that holds your kneecap in place, you know. Mine is almost like completely flat to the point where it doesn't hold my kneecap in place. So my kneecap can just like boop and slide out of place. So that's the story of me finding out that I have like a screwed up kneecap. I'm trying to think of other things to talk about because I want to slowly build up the length of these podcasts. I kind of eventually want to make them like maybe 45 minutes to an hour long, just because I think that's a good length for a podcast, especially the podcasts that I watch. Like, I've gotten more and more into podcasts lately, especially ones that have video on them. I know I'm not doing video with these. I might eventually, but also, like I said, it's late and I need to sleep. So it's dark. My glasses do some really, really weird things with the blue light when it's dark. So it's just not a good time to really record. And also I don't have a good recording setup. So, but yeah, I think that would be a good goal to eventually have with these podcasts, just because podcasts are definitely one of those things that you just kind of put on in the background. And also another thing I want to start doing with this podcast is getting some current events in here. I always think that's very important to know about the world, but also all that I see in the news on any news site is just about the current pandemic that's facing the world. So I don't know where to go about that. Maybe I'll just have to wait until this pandemic's over, because I really don't want to talk about that on this podcast, just because it already causes me so much stress, and I'm sure it causes other people stress. And I don't want people to come to this podcast hoping for some sort of release, or just hoping to have a fun time, and then they get hit with this and it immediately deters them from it. But like, I feel like I especially would get that feeling, just because all I want is to forget about what's going on in the world around me, especially like when I go on YouTube, when I go on my computer in general. All I want is to forget about what's going on around me, because not only is this current pandemic hitting me hard, but also like I have family issues. I think we all do. But mine are just kind of things I really can't control. It's out of my control. It's out of my parents' control pretty much. So I can't do much about it, and it's really kind of bothering me. So it's nice to be able to go on YouTube, go in a game, something like that, and have a little bit of control. Because on YouTube, you decide what videos to click on. Maybe you have like autoplay on, but you can choose to click off that video if it's bothering you. And also, like, especially the games that I play, because I play a lot of simulation games like The Sims. Like, I can choose my story, I can choose my path, I can choose what happens in the game. So just having that small amount of control is really helpful for me, since everything seems to go wrong in my life. I feel like every day something goes wrong, something bad happens, and it's just hard to stay positive through that. And these past few months, that's all I've been wanting to do, is stay positive. But with everything that has happened, and it's just every single day something negative seems to happen and something gets worse, it's really hard to keep a smile on my face and to stay positive through this whole ordeal. I'm in a group chat with people that are going to the same college as me, and we actually had like a Snapchat voice chat. I don't know what's called that thing, like a voice call through Snapchat today for a few hours before I came on here. I was actually just killing time because my mom was out here in the living room, and I needed to wait for her to go to bed before I could record this. That's actually why I record these at night, is because my computer setup is in my living room. I can't wait until I go off to college and I don't have to deal with my computer setup being in my living room. It is so annoying. But yeah, I was in this call and we were just kind of like talking about random stuff. We were just kind of goofing around, talking about pets mostly, talking a lot about pets and just having a good time, I guess. And it's great because I haven't really been able to talk to my friends face to face for the past few weeks. And it was nice to at least be able to see a face and listen to someone's voice at the same time. Like, I get into Discord calls pretty frequently, almost every night, honestly. But it's not the same when you're just hearing someone's voice. And there was a few weeks ago, a few of my friends, we wanted to go to someone's house and watch this series on Netflix. It's called I Think You Should Leave. Okay, by the way, check it out. It's really funny. We wanted to watch this series on Netflix and nobody's house was really available to go to. And also this was like when the quarantine stuff was starting to happen. So everybody was kind of iffy about having people over at their house. So somebody was like, it's fine. We can just like screen share it on Discord, or we can do that group thing on Netflix. I don't know what it's called because I don't have Netflix, but like you can watch things together on Netflix. I don't know how it works, but I was like, it's not the same. They're like, it's good enough though, right? I'm like, no, it straight up isn't, because the reason I'm hanging out with you guys today, the reason I'm out here with you, we were at a park, is because I wanted to see your face. Like, I wanted to talk to you face to face. I'm the type of person that thrives on face to face conversation. And it's also much better for me to like get out of my skin, get out of my shell a little bit whenever I have face-to-face conversation, because if I'm just in a Discord call, if I'm just talking through group chat, I can easily avoid it. Like, I can it sounds so bad, but if I'm in a Discord call and things get awkward and I get uncomfortable, I can just mute my mic and act like I've stepped away from the computer to get food. I don't know. Like, it's so easy to escape your problems in a virtual situation. But as soon as you're sitting next to someone, or if you're looking at someone face to face, or if you're just in the same room as someone, you can't just avoid them. You're going to look like an absolute shitty person if you try and avoid someone that way. So I feel like that's what is really lacking in this current world, this current situation, I guess, is that face-to-face conversation and that face-to-face communication and looking each other into their eyes and extracting their soul, but yeah, like, I've always had trouble looking at people in the eyes and talking to them. I've gotten much better at that. I think I almost make too much eye contact now, but I didn't even know this until I took honors or advanced theater last year. And basically I had a partner scene. We had to do a Shakespearean sonnet. So I had a scene that I had to do with a partner. It was basically like two sonnets were mashed together. It was actually really cool. And it's Shakespeare, so it was kind of like a little love story. And my theater teacher was like, "You're not looking in her eyes." And I was like, "I'm not," because I straight up thought I was, but I wasn't. I was looking ever so slightly off, but my theater teacher could see it. The audience could see it. Anybody can see that. If you're just barely looking off from someone's eyes, they can tell. And that made me realize, like, oh my gosh, I knew I was vulnerable on stage, but I didn't realize that was so noticeable. So after then, I've tried my absolute hardest to always make eye contact with someone. It may make them uncomfortable, and it sure as hell makes me uncomfortable. But I think that's just so important, because you're really connecting to someone when you make eye contact with them. Once again, this podcast went on basically a roller coaster ride. It was very interesting. There was some interesting topics talked about. I don't really know what I'm getting at with this podcast. It's definitely very random. I really need to start taking notes of like things to talk about. But yeah, thank you to anyone and everyone for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and share it with someone who you think might enjoy this. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.